Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Canella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Lada, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morrell, Wynn, Pavley, Roth, Stone, Vidak, Wykowski, Wolk.
A quorum is present, members. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this morning by our chaplain, Sister Michelle Gorman, after which please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Wynn.
Let us recall that we are in the presence of an ever-loving God. And by the way, I hope nobody's suffering from triskaidekaphobia today, fear of Friday the 13th. Instead, let us focus on love, which will be celebrated this weekend with flowers and chocolates and much sentiment. Loving God, in the 1500s, St. John of the Cross said, "Where there is no love, put love, and love will be there." That's what Etty Hillesum did in 1943. Kayla Mueller did it in the time leading up to her death last week. We pray today that each one of us will experience ongoing support, affection, care, and joy from those who love us intimately, so that in our work of building a more just and loving society, we will have the courage and strength to put love where there seems to be only fear, anger, violence, and chaos. May our choice to love deeply enkindle goodness, unity, and beauty in our world. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Members, under privileges of the floor. Seeing none, we will move to messages from the governor. Messages from the governor will be deemed read. Messages from the assembly. Messages from the assembly will be deemed read as well. Reports of committee. Reports of committee will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Under motions, resolutions, and notices. Without objection, the Senate Journal for February 9th through February 13th, 2015 will be approved as corrected by the minute clerk. Introduction of first reading of bills. Bills are deemed read. Members, we're moving to consideration of the daily file. Moving to governor's appointments, item 4. Senator De Leon. Okay. We'll return to governor's appointments. Moving to Senate, third reading, item 7. Senator Vidak, are you prepared to take up this item? Secretary, please read.
Senate Joint Resolution 2 by Senator Vidak relative to immigration.
Senator Vidak.
Mr. President and members, I rise today to present Senate Joint Resolution 2, which calls on the federal government to reform our broken immigration system. Our current immigration system has not seen any major changes for over 25 years. Patchwork attempts have been attempted to mend its deficiencies, but have failed to address the major problems. Current estimates suggest there are 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States. A large number of these families have been living in California for years and call this state our home, their home. This resolution is based upon a similar resolution that passed this House last year with unanimous support. With a new congressional session called into session early
Senator
last
Vida,
month.
can you please hold for a second? Members, it's getting really noisy on the floor. If you can please give your undivided attention to Senator Vida on this very important issue. Senator Vida.
With a new congressional session called into session earlier last month, it is important that this legislature call on the Congress and the President to work together to reform our immigration system and replace it with one that works. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Hearing and seeing none, Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. Aye. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. Block. Aye. Canella. De Leon. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Galgiani. Hall. Hancock. Hall, aye. Hancock. Hernandez. Hertzberg. Aye. Hill. Aye. Hueso. Aye. Huff. Aye. Jackson. Aye. Lada. Aye. Leno. Aye. Leyva. Aye. Liu. Aye. McGuire. Aye. Mendoza. Aye. Mitchell. Monning. Aye. Morrell. Wynn. Aye. Nilsson. Aye. Pan. Pavley. Aye. Roth. Aye. Stone. Vidak. Aye. Wykowski. Aye. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members. Senator Huff,
Yes, Mr. President, I'd like to move a call on this bill.
without objection. Moving to Assembly Third.
Members, Senator Laura.
Because Senator Huff moved the call, so we'll return to that item.
Oh,
It's on call.
okay, thank you.
Members, moving to Assembly third reading, item number 9. Senator Pan, not at his desk. Members will move to governor's appointments. Senator De Leon. Pass temporarily. Members will be returning to motions and resolutions. This is the time for adjourned memories. Senator McGuire. Oh, sorry, I apologize. Senator Nguyen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just under the privilege of the floor, Mr. President, I just want to, I didn't see them, but I know that one of my councilmen from the city of Santa Ana, Councilman Raymond Reyna, is here with the YMCA students from Santa Ana since yesterday, and I want to welcome them to the Sacramento. In addition, I also want to welcome one of my staff. His family's up here. They're from Orange County as well. Eric, Sandy, Megan, Ebeck are here the first time on the floor, and so I want to welcome you to Sacramento, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thank you.
Welcome to your guests from Orange County. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Mr. President and fellow colleagues. I would like to adjourn today in memory of Lawrence Dale Stone, born April 18, 1934 in Los Angeles, California, and peacefully passed away yesterday, February 12, 2015, in Los Angeles. He was born in Los Angeles, a graduate from Hollywood High School, attended Los Angeles City College with an AA degree in paint technology, and opened his spray refinishing business in Los Angeles called Prestige Commercial Refinishing, which remained successful until his retirement. Larry was an inspiration to all that knew him. The greatest pride and joy in his life was his family, and his greatest success in life was that in being a father. to 2 children, my sister Laureen Stone, a successful businesswoman, and myself. Like many elderly people living today, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, this inhumane disease that robs our loved ones of their memories. My father remained aware of my sister and my presence, but couldn't remember events that happened 5 minutes prior. When I visited him last Saturday evening in the hospital, he quickly awakened, and while struggling to breathe, smiled and greeted my sister and I, which gave him comfort. And to my amazement, he then said to me for the first time, "You are a state senator, my son." He did not allow Alzheimer's to quash the memory of this proud moment in his life. He told my sister and I how much he loved us, and he was keenly aware of his pending demise.
Senator Stone, I'm sorry to do this. Members, it's really getting a little noisy. If you can please lower your voices or please return to the rear of the chamber. Senator Stone, please continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. He's survived by his children, his wife Ruth, and stepchildren, granddaughters Brittany and Brianna, grandson Jason, Travis and Chase, and his great-granddaughter, Luca Stone. May he rest in peace knowing that he touched the lives of so many that knew him, his family, and his friends, and I really appreciate that you've given me the opportunity to adjourn in his memory today.
Thank you, Senator Stone, and please send our family the deepest condolences from the Senate. Senator Nielsen,
Purpose of the introduction, Mr. President.
without objection.
In the galleries up here, folks, we have some individuals who are the vanguards of advocating for our California veterans. These gentlemen and ladies represent the California Association of County Veteran Service Officers, and they are the face within our counties of advocacy and the nexus for our veterans to the services that are so necessary for them. They brought in over almost $500 million worth of federal resources to serve our veterans just last year. They're constantly out there working in the trenches, taking care of the interest of our veterans. We appreciate you. God love you for what you do. The Senate acknowledges you today with thanks.
Welcome to our veterans, and thank you for your service. Senator Fuller, do you have a adjourned in memory?
Members, I would like to adjourn in memory of Lieutenant Colonel Fitz Fulton, who was well known in the international aviation community. His distinguished Air Force career saw over 200 flights during the 1948 Berlin airlift to combat missions in the Korean conflict. Fitz was a 1952 graduate of the Air Force Experimental Test Pilot School located here in California at Edwards Air Force Base, which is in my district, so I'm kind of excited about that, and was a test pilot for one of the SR-71 Blackbird variants. Fitz also served as a NASA test pilot, having tested the Boeing 747 Space Shuttle carrier aircraft. During his career, Fitz was the lead pilot for NASA's B-29 and B-52 bombers, which launched many famous test aircraft, including the X-1 flown by General Yeager and the X-15, the world's fastest fixed-wing aircraft flown by one of our former senators, Pete Knight. Members, please join me in remembering an American hero. Thank you very much for your thoughts.
Thank you, Senator Fuller. Please submit the name to the front desk so it can be properly memorialized. Senator McGuire.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today in memory of 2 individuals from the North Coast. The first is Congressman Don Clausen. Mr. President, Mr. Clausen was born and raised in Ferndale, a small town in the Eel River Valley. The congressman served as a Navy pilot in the South Pacific during World War II, and he returned to the North Coast, establishing an insurance agency as well as an air ambulance service in Del Norte County. He represented the North Coast of California for 2 decades. He was a moderate Republican, and he excelled as a deal maker in his day, cultivating bipartisan connections and delivering federal projects, including the Warm Springs Dam and Lake Sonoma project. The memory of Congressman Clausen will live on through his many accomplishments and contributions to the people of the state of California and the nation. And Madam President, I know that Senator Nielsen will also be speaking on his personal experience with the congressman as well. And then finally, Madam President, would like to be able to rise in memory for Mr. Henry Trioni. He was a small-town baker's son from Fortuna with truly a Midas touch. He passed away Thursday morning in his Santa Rosa home. Trioni was a Navy veteran, an astute businessman. He was once the largest individual stockholder in Wells Fargo Bank. He was a wise financier, made successive fortunes that mirrored the evolution of the North Coast, including investments in timber, real estate banking, and Sonoma County wine. He was dedicated to Northern California, and rather than keeping his self-made fortune to himself, Mr. Trioni donated millions back to the community, founding the Luther Burbank Performing Arts Center, created and funded Annandale State Park, and co-founded the Sonoma County Community Foundation. He was truly an icon, a statesman, a benefactor, and a devoted father, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you very much. A wise man indeed, and condolences to both gentlemen's families as well. And Senator Nielsen, did you wish to speak on the adjourn in the memory as well?
Yes, I would like to speak in addition on behalf of my dear friend and mentor, Congressman Don Clausen of the North Coast. Quite a legend up there, and congressmen are most known for what they've done to tend to the people that they represent. You know, some go back to D.C. and get caught up in the falderall and want to rise in leadership and devote so much of their attention to Washington, D.C. Many tend to forget the folks back home. Don Clausen never did. One of the great stories of Don Clausen, when he first ran against an incumbent, the incumbent was lost in an aircraft accident. Don, being a pilot, got in his plane and was a part of the search and rescue mission. That's how he devoted his attention. He suspended his campaigning until everything was settled and they found his opponent incumbent deceased. A great and affable man, and affable will be the best description for Don Clausen. And he represented for 20 years a very democratic area. Now, it got even more democratic, and I know it because I represented the same area. But Don tended to the folks back home so very well that he was elected again and again. And he did deliver the projects that were necessary for the well-being of that sparsely populated North Coast, and he ensured people that they were not forgotten up there, and he was their eloquent and forceful voice. After leaving Congress, President Reagan appointed to him the Department of Transportation, and he was the head of one of the aeronautical divisions, which he was so very good at. He was preceded in death by his lovely wife, Ollie, who was a true great partner for Don. And I remember something very fondly about the man. He was such a humble fellow. And he had been retired for some time, and a few years ago I had an event up in the Sonoma Valley at the Cundy Winery. And I called Don up. I said, Don, Jim, hey, how are you? Hey, I'm going to have an event down at Cundy's, and I want you to come. I said, why would you want me to come? I don't amount to anything anymore. I'm long retired. Everybody's forgotten about me. I said, Don, I haven't forgotten about you. Please come. Now, I was a little bit gimpy then, but we got him around those wine caves, and he had a grand time. And a point I'd like to make on this respect, and it's something that I'm reminded of another a senator from up there named Randy Collier. I always remembered Randy, too, recognizing him was around here. And those of us who now serve, remember that someday we won't serve again. and it would be kind of nice to be remembered. I remember Don. In my small way, that was thanking him for being a mentor to me. But a true legend of the North Coast, but most importantly, a legend of a good example for a true representative of the people, Congressman Don Clausen.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. An extraordinary man indeed. In spite of all the falderall here, I'm sure we're all wanting to extend our heartfelt best wishes to his family. Senator Lara, for what purpose, sir?
Madam President, for the purpose of introduction.
Without objection.
Thank you. Members, please join me in welcoming two families from my district to the state capitol this morning. They're to my immediate left, up in the gallery. The Courvoisier family, Jeff, Amanda, Nathan of 10, Micah of 7, and the Kirkpatrick family, Joe, Erica, Klein of 9, Jace of 7. They brought their children to Sacramento as an expansion of their instruction in California history. And please join me in welcoming them to their state capitol.
Welcome. Colleagues, we are going to lift the call on file item number 7. Mr. Secretary, please call the absent members.
Berryhill, Canella, De Leon, Galgiani, Hancock, I, Hernandez, Mitchell, Morrell, Pan, Stone. I.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill, Canella, De Leon, Galgiani, I, Hernandez, Mitchell, Morrell, Pan.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill, Canella, De Leon, Hernandez, Mitchell, Morrell, Pan.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill, Canella, De Leon, I, Hernandez, Mitchell, Morrell, Pan.
31-0, the resolution is adopted. If there's no other business, Senator De Leon, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, have a wonderful weekend with your loved ones, friends, and family. We will see each other. We will reconvene come Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And again, have a very, very good weekend.
Thank you, Senator De Leon. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Tuesday at 2 p.m.